Hello and welcome to NC Exclusive. I'm Benga Aborowa. My guest today in NC Exclusive was born in Gadir, Burkina Faso in 1980. She underwent a female genital mutilation as a child and has since campaigned for the practice to be banned. She has also worked with the AHA Foundation, founded by Ayan Hirsi Ali, to combat FGM, forced marriages and human rights abuses. After the murder of influential Burkinabe journalist Norbert Zongo, she studied journalism and became a human rights activist. She moved to the Netherlands in 2001 to study journalism and later settled in Brussels. She became a Belgian citizen in 2008, and in May 2019, she was elected member of the European Parliament and vice chair of her political group. She is a member of the Committees on Civil Liberties, Justice and Home Affairs, Foreign Affairs, Security and Defense and Human Rights. She is a passionate human rights campaigner, championing the rights of women, children and the fight against FGM. She also works on policies related to integration and migration and combating and preventing crime and terrorism. She has founded an organization called Polan that encourages equal opportunities and more female involvement in politics. In addition to her political work, she has worked as a columnist for the Standard newspapers. My guest today is Assita Kanko, a new Flemish Alliance party member of the European Parliament. Thanks for joining us, Assita.
Thanks for having me.
Now, Assita, from Gadir in Burkina Faso to the European Parliament in Brussels, your journey has been quite remarkable and inspirational. How did you go from that child of years ago to the lawmaker of today?
Well, thank you. That's a very nice compliment from your side. I have not planned everything. I think it is just the result of a lot of curiosity, determination, and love. Why do I say love? Love for freedom, love for books, and also meeting my husband, who is Belgian, and then I met him in the Netherlands, and then we finally ended up here. But anything I'm doing today that explains why I am a lawmaker and focusing on specific topics to emancipate women and to help individuals reach self-determination is because I love freedom, and I like fighting for that freedom for everyone else. And in my personal experience, I have always had to fight for it, to emancipate as a girl in a remote area in Burkina Faso, and to emancipate as a citizen, growing up under dictatorship and being in the students' movements for freedom. And to today realize that freedom can never be taken for granted, that we always have to fight for it, and that when others are not free, our freedom is not enough, that we always have to want to share it. That's what is keeping me going every day, the passion for that.
Fantastic. And you have fully advocated for women to be involved in democratic transitions. Thomas Ankara, a man who is greatly revered in Burkina Faso and beyond, once said the emancipation of women requires their education and their gaining economic power. In this way, labor on an equal footing with men on all levels, having the same responsibilities and the same rights and obligations. Why is the emancipation of women important, especially for the girl child in Africa?
First of all, Thomas Ankara is my absolute first hero before I have really found in Kofi Annan the second hero that we could dream of as a role model for Africans. And there are so many people full of talent that can inspire. So Thomas Ankara's position on women's rights was something that I experienced also directly as a kid. In fact, if you do not have the emancipation of women, you are leaving more than half of your talents untapped. If you are not doing that, then you are not growing as society. You are leaving so much behind, and it's not only being supporting injustice, it's also being actually very stupid, because women have talent that we should use, and women have so much to say and to add in our societies. Nowadays, we still have a lot of men who believe that women should stay home, and do some unpaid jobs. But we do also have women who advocate for that position. I, in my job, every time meet men who are also for equality, just like Thomas Ankara was. So I think for equality, it's an alliance between men and women who want to show that all human beings are equal.
Looking at Burkina Faso today, do you think, and around Africa, do you think those gains he made for women emancipation have been eroded?
Well, when you do well by saying that he was ahead of his time. And when I look at the very rich Nigerian literature that I have had the pleasure to discover as a kid, that I still practice right now, there is so much. If you look at the story from Things Fall Apart, it's actually something that I often think of. It's a Nigerian novel that I often think of when I look at what is happening now in Africa and specifically in Burkina Faso. And I think it's in that book that the author, Mr. Oyono, said that when you are born when you are too right before your time, you know what can happen. Sometimes I think that Thomas Ankara was right too soon. I think that some of us in certain circumstances are also right too soon or too late, but the most important thing is that you've started something. I think what Thomas Ankara did is starting something with people like me too. Otherwise, maybe I wouldn't have grown up with that political knowledge, that political commitment, that passion for freedom, and that pride that we always want to defend. You can do it with politics. You can do it with literature. You can do it so many. There is this author from Nigeria, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, who write great novels, who is admired throughout the world. We have these talents. Look at all the literature that Nigeria has produced, all the work that Thomas Ankara has done, all the pain that we are aware about is what makes us who we are today. And I think we need to take everything that we can learn and see what we can change in our lifetime so that our children don't have to fight for the same things.
Thank you, Assita. Looking at present day realities, it seems to be a season of coups in West Africa. The latest being from your country of birth. What are your thoughts about this coup in Burkina Faso? And did you see this coming?
I saw this coming. I think as lawmakers, we need to do our job correctly by not being surprised by events. I mean, who did not see Afghanistan coming? Who did not see the Sahel, the pain in the Sahel happening right now, should not have their place in this hemicycle or in politics, because there are really people who do not think or look at facts or listen to the citizens. What is happening in the Sahel is something like the terror attacks, the jihadism advancing, is something we have been working on for like 2 years now in this parliament. I have been worried about what would happen in this region. We have seen that while the West were busy thinking that we're still in the 60s, that they still have this influence that does no longer exist. Russia and China were expanding politically and economically. I kept saying, why do we have all our eggs in the same baskets? Why does the West think that we need to do all the investments in Asia? Why don't you realize there is so much talent in Africa where about 50% of the people are so young, strong, and capable of working? Why don't we enlarge our horizon? And why don't we make sure that we are strategically really independent from China? So if we continue giving everything to China, then we cannot be free in Europe either. I see this from both sides as someone who grew up in Burkina Faso as a person, and as a lawmaker who is elected in Europe. I look at the facts and I think that Europe is making a big mistake. Europe should realize that in the EU-Africa strategy, it's time for something new. I hope everyone will wake up and realize that Europe has to strategically have a new relationship with Africa, that all the money that's flowing into the elite and into the corrupt people should also be controlled. This money is money from European taxpayers, and this money is not going into the pockets of the citizens. It is going into the wrong pockets. That is actually making the domination of citizens permanent in this way. And this coup, we saw the flag of Russia in Burkina Faso. This is showing what is Russia doing there while they're having 100,000 soldiers at the eastern border of Europe? And what is Europe doing? Why are we only talking while others are acting? I am a very impatient politician, and I have this passion from the heritage of Thomas Sankara and
to get things done.
Realizing that we have much to do.
Yes. Now, while growing up in Burkina Faso, you experienced a coup, and now there's another coup. Are there things you remember from years back that makes you worry about
Yes.
this current one?
Yes, I mean, when I was 7, when the first Coup experience happened, and we at that time we didn't really speak to each other. People didn't talk to their neighbors about politics. Everyone was, distrusting everyone else. So it is that atmosphere of where there is no trust that I also remember. And also we were speaking as children at school, like, what do you do when the coup happens? Yeah, people just continue doing whatever they were doing, and then we should lay down to avoid bullets if some bullet will get lost and hit your house. And we were speaking about these things like people can speak about the weather in Europe. So I think it's very sad also to grow up like this, and I really hope that the new children in these areas in Africa will experience a new way of doing things, and will have the democratic power to change the governments, and that we will have presidents who actually work like Thomas Ankara did, and we will have presidents that actually accept to be poor so that the people will be rich, that we will have presidents that are more afraid of the people, of the voter, than of the military. Then we will have rich democracy.
Now, Assita, Belgium, the country which you represent in the European Parliament, will be sending 250 members of their armed forces to Mali to take part in a French-led anti-terrorism operation known as the Task Force Takuba, targeting Al-Qaeda fighters. What's in it for Belgium, and why is it important for Belgium to commit troops to tackle terrorism in the Sahel, even though they're on different continents?
Well,
Yes.
I have to highlight 2 points here. First, I'm more an expert from the European Parliament. So for Belgian politics, we have a very complicated political system where my party is not in the government. So this decision is for the current government. That's one point I want to highlight.
Thank you for highlighting that.
Yeah. Second, I do believe that to tackle this jihadism that is actually killing people and destroying the economy, weakening democracies in this area, we need a global commitment, and we need a Europe-wide commitment, also a regional wide commitment in West Africa. We cannot just see individually per member state, because that is too small to tackle something that big. I believe that we also need to avoid making the same mistakes as the Americans did in Afghanistan. What is happening is that since 8 years, for example, we have troops there in this area. What is the improvement? What I hear is that the local armies don't have shoes, don't have bullets, don't have working cars that actually start, and that a lot of allies, like in Mali, for example, spend all the money for themselves instead of investing in what they should invest. So this is what we need to prevent. We need to make sure that the capacity building is happening, that we are not making mistakes that prevent any solution to be sustainable, and that actually create even a kind of bad habit that is going to make the soldier's life even worse. Because so far, I don't see any improvement. So I think waking up and sending money, not knowing in which pocket it's going, and thinking, look, this problem is solved. It's not like this that it should work. We need to think about it, and we need to look at the results. Is what we are doing actually helping change things, or should we adjust something? That's what I miss currently.
Absolutely. They need to be more oversight on money that is spent on these missions, and also capacity building for African troops. Now, just before we begin to wrap things up, the EU is one of African Union's most significant peace and security partners. Since 2004, it has provided more than 2 billion euros in assistance. Beyond security, how can this relationship be more beneficial to both parties, the African Union and the European Union?
Well, it is indeed 2.7 billion. It is huge. And I am still wondering every day, one of my tasks as a lawmaker is always wonder where the money is gone. We knew that the money was not, when I was a kid, that it was not on the bank account of Thomas Ankara. I'm wondering where the money is going and why I do not see that much improvement. I think it's time that the European Union stops babysitting Africa. And it's time that we stop having leaders who expect the EU or France or Macron to come and solve problems. I think Africans have that capacity, and that our great fathers have fought for the independence. Why don't one experience that independence? I see the potential in Africa, and prior to joining the politics and the parliament, I was working in the private sector, and I saw all these. I went on a business trip to Cote d'Ivoire, to Dakar, and there was also a plan to go to Lagos. It didn't unfortunately happen, but I hope soon it will be a possibility. But what I saw are young people who are checking their watch, being in a hurry, and I didn't see the difference except the weather. I didn't see the difference with the city in London, where I also had meetings. So I think this potential of Africa is what I want to see in people's eyes here. Invest in Africa, have your companies treat Africa as a partner. The babysitting and the nanny diplomacy should be over. This is what I'm advocating for. We need to be tough and to be ambitious.
Finally, Assita, your story is an inspiration to many, not just in Africa, but beyond the continent. What do you have to say to many young Africans who are currently disenchanted with the state of affairs on the continent? Is there hope?
I always feel, I think I am still growing, just like everyone else. You never stop growing. And I would just say, like I would speak to my younger sister who is also living in Africa, I would tell all young people, first of all, believe in yourself. Nothing is impossible. I usually tell friends here, or even my team, when someone tells me something is impossible, I say, okay, put it on my to-do list and I want to make it happen now. So believe in yourself, you can do it. What I always practiced myself is that when I have a plan, I don't change my dream. I change who I'm speaking to about my dream. So there is so much that you can achieve, so much more than anyone can imagine. Just go for it. And will you experience difficulties? Yes, of course. Every day you will have setbacks. If you are not experiencing difficulties, then you are not trying anything new.
It's part of life, yes.
Exactly.
Thank you very much.
It's okay to go and say, I'm scared, give me a hug. Just do it. People are happy to do it.
Thank you very much, Assita. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and we look forward to catching up very soon. And thanks for the good work you do in the European Parliament, and for keeping your eyes and ears open to happenings on the continent. Your heart is still in Burkina Faso.
May I use 1 second to congratulate Nigeria for the great movies on Netflix? You are changing. I'm watching so many of them, and there are strong women in these stories, so really great.
Thank you very much, Assita. And that's it, an NC exclusive. Our guest has been a member of the European Parliament representing Belgium, Assita Kanko and Benga Aborowa. Until next time on NC exclusive. Bye-bye.